Hello, family. Welcome to African Esquire TV. I'm your host, Tierney Cherie. By now, I'm sure you guys have been seeing, like me, on social media, the repeated posts for Black History Month, because that's kind of the tradition nowadays. We commemorate Black History Month by sharing memes of people, sometimes in the past, but oftentimes the new thing that I notice more and more is people showing memes of people who are present. People who have so-called accomplished something inside of this system, people who should be celebrated. Now, what I want to talk about, and some people might say I'm being a killjoy for this, but what exactly is happening to Black History Month when it's kind of being used to give a facade to our people that things are better than what they are? Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that it's very, very good that our people are advancing, that our people have continued to advance, particularly given our history in this country, given the fact that we have faced so many barriers in this country. Obviously, whenever you have a people who are able to rise out of the ashes of slavery, that's always a great thing. But we have to understand there's also dual messaging going on. I noticed that repeatedly we keep seeing the types of posts for Black History Month that say, hey, this is the first person who's inside of this office in government. This is the first person who's inside of this Fortune 500 company. This is the first person who does this. And of course, all these people being the first people of African descent. But we don't think about the fact that what those people do inside of those companies do not necessarily mean a good for our people, especially collectively and especially globally. Understand that a lot of these offices that these people are operating in oftentimes actually are completely to the detriment of our people. And a lot of times we're celebrating something that actually goes contrary to our interests.
Build something black. Let it drip with glory. Build it in love, like our ancestors' story. Bring out the beauty of what's sacred and kind. Bear your black brilliance as you prosper and climb. Build something black. Let us rise up together. All that we build is black beyond measure. Join the journey at Target.com.
Keep in mind, for example, you can celebrate all you want the first Africans to be inside of the United States military forces and be inside of be the generals and be in the Pentagon and be in the CIA, all these things. But these are institutions that have very, very much an explicit history of being adverse to Black liberation. Black liberation and the CIA do not go together. I'm sorry. Black liberation and the Department of Defense do not go together. Those institutions have always been antagonistic. Whether it's African people here or people abroad who try to exercise self-determination, there's never been a day where those institutions have supported those types of movements. Now let's consider, what was Black history supposed to be about? Well, let's look at some quotes by Carter G. Woodson, who of course is the architect of what was originally, I believe, Black History Week, but it became Black History Month. Some quotes from him. He says, "The education system of a country is worthless unless it revolutionizes the social order." So why aren't these the things that we're talking about whenever we're talking about Black History Month? Why is it that we're celebrating capitalism, that is a system that is literally created on the backs of our people, literally created based on the exploitation of our people? There's never been a day where capitalism has functioned, or a society where capitalism has functioned, where our people have not suffered. But we're not talking about revolutionizing the social order of capitalism. Instead, we're celebrating moves by people to engage inside of the system of capitalism, moves that really don't do anything for our people. Again, collectively, we have to think collectively and not individually. Individual achievements might make you feel good, but collective achievements will actually reciprocate into an actual benefit for our people. When you think about things that are going to revolutionize the social order, think about this type of quote by Carter G. Woodson in light of the fact that if you go on many companies' websites, if you go on Amazon or Google or whatever type of big company that you want to go on, if you go on their websites, more likely than not, you're going to see them having little things celebrating Black History Month. They might have a section or introductory page, and some will also have their employees who are African. They're going to show them in front saying that these people have been instrumental inside of our company. Now, think about what we're talking about, disrupting the social order. These corporations are literally the part of the social order that has been exploitative to our people. And these corporations are now using you, Black people, using you, individual Black people, as a way to hide the fact that their success is literally coming at the detriment of your people. And these are the problems that we're going to continue to face until we're ready to take such radical action, as Dr. Woodson said, challenging the social order. Are you okay with things continuing the way they are so long as you can partake inside of them? Because if that's what you're about, then you're not about your people, you're about yourself. And these are the types of things that are rewarded by the capitalist system. Capitalist system does not reward people who think communally. It only rewards people who think individually. And even many of those who do think individually will not even be looked upon with the graces of the capitalist system. It's only those who fit inside of a certain margin of society that will even be able to partake in the benefits. So the question is, what are you doing this for? And moreover, to us who are not the people who are necessarily benefiting from these systems, what are we celebrating for? Is this cause for celebration? Is this something that reciprocates into African liberation? If not, then your celebrations are futile. So let's look at another quote that Dr. Woodson said. He said that if the Negro in the ghetto must eternally be fed by the hand that pushes him into the ghetto, he will never become strong enough to get out of the ghetto. And I want to draw that into contrast with the capitalist system. If we're only going to see ourselves in the realms of capitalism, if we're only going to see ourselves as benefiting as a people through benefiting through capitalism, think about the fact that we're literally being asked to be fed by the same system that literally was created to enslave our people, literally has done so much to our people to handicap us, again, not just domestically, but globally. We have to consider the fact that capitalism ravages our people inside of every single country and every single jurisdiction. But yet we're looking to that same system that, again, has inflicted violence on us to be our salvation. Dr. Woodson, I think, would laugh at people who think like this, people who look to their oppressor to save them, and people who look to systems that were created to their detriment to be their ultimate salvation. And then one more quote I will say, and this is in light of Black History Month, is when Dr. Woodson says, "The mere imparting of information is not education." And that to me should be the wrap up. It's not so much for us to share information in this month. That's not education. It's not so much for us to put up a quote of some person and put up a picture and say, hey, this person did this in 19 blah, blah, blah. That's not education. The real issue that we should be concerned with is actually ensuring that we're giving our people a weapon to get themselves out of the position that they are currently in. If the education that you're trying to give them does not do that for them, then maybe you're just trying to make them feel good about themselves, but you're not going to do anything to reverse the course of history and the course of our reality. We're still in this condition, people. Don't let this Black History Month thing get you carried away. We're still in this condition. It doesn't matter how many Black doctors, how many Black lawyers. It doesn't matter how many Black professors. It doesn't matter how many Black government officials. We're still in the same position. So what type of education is going to get you out of that position? I would say that's the only type of education that you should be sharing, especially in commemoration of Dr. Woodson and for what he fought for our people to realize. So that is my thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on what's going on in Black History Month, particularly when you see all these companies? I think that's the biggest insult, is when you see all these corporations that you know have no affinity for Africans and probably have different policies that discriminate against Africans, whether implicitly or explicitly. These same companies using Black faces or using the Black History Month as a way to basically further their message that they are inclusive and basically silencing people who might call them out otherwise. What are your thoughts on this? And I will see you on the next video. Hey family, this is Tierney Cherie. I'm here to make an announcement that I'm very, very excited to make. I'm excited because I really think this is something that is important for our people. Otherwise, I would not have devoted so much time and energy towards it. So I finished my first book, and the book title is Fostering False Identity: The Child Welfare System's Design of Social Control of the Black Family. Now, why is this book something that I think will be very important for our community? Well, number one, it's dealing with the system of white supremacy, particularly the way that the system has targeted our children. If you don't know, our children are literally our future. Without our children, we have no future. And so understand that the system is very crafty when figuring out what to derail first. And to me, it's no mistake that the system particularly went after the Black family. If you look at what happened whenever we were enslaved by this system, and continues to go after the Black family, continues to go after Black children, continues to try to villainize African parents. So for that, I wanted to particularly talk about this subject. Now, the other thing that the book will deal with is our African identities. Why is it that our African identities are a threat to this system? Why is it that whenever we want to identify ourselves as being African, we get so much drawback inside of the Black community? I think a lot of us are not aware of the history of assimilationist thought inside of our community, this idea that we have to be close to white in order to be accepted. And so that's another subject that we delve into in this book. So I'm hoping that anyone who is, obviously, if you're a parent, a Black parent, and you really want to understand why it is that these systems are going after your children, I encourage you to read this book. I hope that it will arm you with a lot of knowledge and a lot of foresight, not just about how to protect your own children, but how to organize in your community, because that's really the purpose of the book, is to say that we have to organize among ourselves in order to protect ourselves from this white supremacist system. And then obviously, if you're an organizer in general, this is something that I think is important for you to read, because like I said, this is a subject in the Black community that we just don't discuss enough. Child welfare is not something that is going to get enough attention. People, obviously, we organize them around other causes, but this is one that is really important that I feel like we have to pay more attention to.